starting off our crypto section is going to be Bitcoin miners flock to an upstate New York town for cheap energy, and then it gets complicated. Now, there's so many reasons right now it could get complicated. I feel like we've discussed it in previous podcasts, but everybody has to understand how energy consumption works in your current county, in your current state. And that is, a lot of your energy is made same day as is ready to use, and if it's not used, it's lost. And so with that being said, Bitcoin miners went over and flocked to a part of New York that had really low energy consumption. It was so low that it was, I guess, enough of a push for people to jump in. Well, here's the problem. 15% of their energy, 10 to 15% of their energy supply then went over into mining. Now, that's not just a certain region. That's not just a certain, like, let's say a city or area. What started to happen is that it consumed so much of its current energy consumption in that surrounding area that it then had to broaden itself and start consuming energy from the larger metropolis side. And that's where it started creating the problem, is that they aren't ready for this mass energy consumption. And it's arguably to say that I don't think anybody is really ready for the mass of miners going in and just taking over an energy supply. We are currently striving towards increasing renewable energy, and that's the right direction to go. But that's only because supply and demand is going to increase. And currently, the increase is creating a deficit in the regular consumer to be able to just have regular prices. You have to imagine, these counties and cities that had the low, cheap energy, what do you think their bill jumped up to? It jumped up to a rate that was just unprecedented and definitely unexpected. So all of this is pointing back to crypto miners. And I'm surprised we didn't see this coming out of Texas first, because I know we talked about Texas taking on miners, and we destroyed the whole topic and ability for them even to think about using Texas. Yeah, in a happy, perfect world where energy is just unlimited, which it is, by the way, but not in our current use of technology. We're creating ourselves a mini black hole, and so this is an area to be solved as we look, move forward into the future. Any comments on that, boys?
I believe the moment that we actually get into sustainable energy, it's going to either be cheaper or taken advantage of, because we are in a capitalist society and corporations just want money. So in actuality, do you believe that free energy is going to come anytime soon? No.
No,
especially with miners.
I also think that it's important to note that when the main driver of progress is profit, the main driver of progress is not sustainability.
Mm-hmm.
So this is something you have to note. Even sustainable fishing, sustainable energy, renewable they're advertising slogans. You have to remember that. If the purpose of developing a service or technology is to profit, then the primary goal is not sustainability of the ecosystem, sustainability of the environment, sustainability of the market. If that is the mantra, eventually that entire process is sustainable. So you make that is sustainable in a process that is in itself unsustainable because you're doing it for solely the profit, it's like an oxymoron. You can't create sustainable things when you only care about profit, because you're not thinking about how it integrates. You're more caring about the speed of progress and how much money you can make on that speed than you do about actually changing things. That's why most drugs that are developed, people aren't going around the world solving hunger and figuring out people's water supply issues and treating illnesses. They only treat illnesses when it becomes apparent that there's a market big enough to make them profit for it. Else, what's the point? And I understand that things are expensive, but the number of things that are brought to market are done so because there's a market to buy them, not because people want to, make some great change. So
I mean,
they also don't think
the energy companies aren't complaining about this. They're just giving out bigger bills. They're making more money.
Yeah.
Well, that's because they charge more energy. If they have to put in 20% more capacity, they're going to increase their cost by X amount. They have to raise their prices, otherwise they go under.
And that's a trick. That's actually a trick statement, because energy companies aren't always fully utilizing their maximum potential of energy output. They're, obviously during the summer and winters, according to however energy is used in the household. but they're never hitting that 100%. So, what the
There's a reason for
article,
that.
yeah, what the article is not saying is that, you know, certain cities are losing power because certain cities are utilizing more power. The energy is still there.
Right. So if you efficiently allocate, but that's the thing, it's about efficient allocation. People aren't saying, I'll set up my mining rig in a city that doesn't use 20% of power so that I can efficiently max out the grid, which in and of itself is dangerous because there's a reason they don't allow it to go so high. So they have that reserve capacity and the ability to do so in the event of a surge. But in addition to that, yes, I agree. If they were to find the substations and grids where they were the least taxed, that would be the way of doing it. But that's not what they do. They go and find the cheapest price because, again, they're nothing more than a business. They need to profit more than they cost, more than they spend. So they're going to go for the cheap energy because that's their big input, right? They're one of their biggest inputs besides the supplies of technology to actually mine it is the power needed to run that supply. So I agree. If you were efficiently looking for ways to do this, there might be a way to find a balance. But I also think that there's a reason some places don't max out their capacity so that they have the ability in the event surge to handle that. Because if you're maxed out and then there's a surge or a demand, grids go down. And grids going down is infinitely worse than having excess capacity that's not used when it comes to something that people need every single day, right? It's not like a want, like, oh, I'd like electricity. Most people need it every day for almost everything that they do.
Yeah,
So
and that's why they
it's a
give
little bit of a
varying
different
rates throughout the day. If it's during the daytime in which people are at work, the energy rate of use
Right.
for consumption is much lower than when 5 p.m. hits and everyone comes
Get
home,
home,
and
right.
then they have the energy rate higher than it was during the day. So that's just corporations for you. Same thing with medicine. Like insulin cost is $50. They sell it to people for $350. So that's just cost of business. Do you ever think cancer is going to go out of business? No, because there's such a large area of research that cancer is never going to be solved. Because if it is, people are going to be out of business,
Also-
and they're not going to be happy about that.
You know what's funny about renewable energy? You know why companies don't build products that last forever? Because they want you to buy more. If you create renewable energy and then don't need it to build any more energy, then you're done. You've
done.
maxed out your capacity. We have officially powered the entire world. It doesn't need to grow anymore. No way. No way.
Exactly.
Absolutely no way.
I feel like this,
At least not in our lifetime.